Welcome to the ACF Chefs Forums. We appreciate all of you turning in today for this webinar with a focus on the culinary heritage of soul food. Today, our presenter will take us on an intellectual journey from the transatlantic slave trade to the immersion of cuisine designed by enslaved people with a freed mindset. ACF is excited to have an expert here with information just for you, the leaders of the food service industry. Before we begin, as a note, we'll be answering as many questions as possible after the presentation. Please use the chat function to collaborate with our other viewers and use the Q&A function anytime during the session to pose questions to today's speaker. Let's get discussion going in the chat by telling us if you're where you're tuning in from today. We'd love to hear where you're all calling in from. I'm Chris Tanner, the American Culinary Federation's Executive Director. Welcome. So culinary heritage is one of our first trends for the year. And the culinary heritage trend itself lends itself to so many different aspects of the industry. And the ones that we're concentrating for this presentation today is don't forget your past. It's important to remember where we come from, remember where our cuisine comes from, and how that brings our cuisine forward today. It also goes around comfort food, so I think we're going to see a little bit of comfort food in there and have that re-envisioned as well. But I'm really looking forward to our presentation today. So let's meet today's guest. Also known as Chef El Sol, Chef LaKisha Harris is currently the CEO and executive chef at Soul Filled Catering and Private Chef Services. She serves as president of the State of Michigan Black Chefs Association, is on the advisory board of the Culinary Institute of Michigan and Kids Food Basket, and sponsors a weekly free meal with the Muskegon County community. For Chef LaKisha, it's more than food and finances. It's loving people right where they are and filling every soul with a unique experience that they won't soon forget. We have a lot to cover today. So at this time, I'll pass the presentation over to Chef LaKisha. It's all yours, Chef.
Hello, everyone. As was stated, my name is Chef LaKisha Harris, and welcome. Hello from Muskegon, Michigan. If you've never been to Muskegon, Michigan, after you see my food, you'll be on your way, honey. So if this is one of those webinars where you thought you were going to go to sleep and nothing good was about to happen, I'm very excited. And this is going to be an amazing presentation. So let's talk about soul food. What is soul food? What is this cuisine that everyone is talking about? Well, I can tell you what it's not. It is not Southern food. Soul food is not comfort food. Soul food is food that is made using your senses, your heart, your soul, your mind, and your intellect. As you will see today, as I'm doing my demonstration, there will be no measuring cups. There are no measuring cups in my kitchen. It just doesn't happen. Oftentimes, we gain inspiration from chefs that we see on television. We know the Robert Irvines, the Gordon Ramsays, Giada De Laurentiis, and we look at them and we see what they do, and everyone has a recipe for how they get to the desired end of their product. There is no recipe in soul food. Soul food comes from the heart. It is an intellectual thing. It is a creative vice. We did not have all of the amenities as slaves to be able to do that. And it even becoming a forward-thinking ethnicity, community, we still hold fast to our oral traditions that come from Africa. So soul food is cooking with your heart. Soul food is cooking from passion. If you have love and you know what love feels like, if you remember your grandmother's hugs, if you remember your first child being born, if you remember loving somebody before you were married to them a long time and now you don't like them anymore, you know, that first feeling, that is what soul food is. We see this concept again. Laura Esquivel wrote a novel in 1989, I believe it was. She's a Mexican novelist. That novel was called Como agua para chocolate, which translates to water for chocolate, like water for chocolate. The mantra and the theme of this movie is that whatever you put into your dish is what will come out. Most people do not know that the African people from the West Coast that came to the United States, they were vegan. We did not really eat meat. When you go to places more like Zimbabwe, South Africa, the other coast of Africa, that's where you see the more use of goat and curry. So here we are vegans. We are transported at a traumatic time to the United States. And we get here and we begin to get the discarded parts of animals because the protein was needed as they were working in the fields now. So everyone received a ration of cornmeal, okra, and rice. We were familiar with these products. We knew how to use them. But then they begin to give the slaves pig nose, pig ears, pig intestines. In some way, somehow, we developed a cuisine from that. One of the other major things that was given to the slaves was shortening. And so that's why you see a lot of frying in soul food. But with the advancement of technology and our mindset, soul food does not have to be an unhealthy food. If someone told you that soul food is not healthy, that ain't the truth, honey. Soul food can be healthy. Initially, the Africans were healthy and clean eaters, right? We began to fry things because we had a limited amount of time to cook. And so we would receive that shortening, we would melt it down, and then we would cook our food in that. And that's why you see barbecuing and frying quite a bit in soul food cuisine. So that's a little bit of history, but I want to show you what it looks like. So I have Chef Michael here with me, Chef Z. They're going to help me out today, and we're going to make some. Are you ready for this? Lean on in. Come on. I want you to put your whole ear up to your phone, your laptop. We're going to make some get your man fried chicken. Well, if you're a male, get your woman fried chicken, right? So get your man fried chicken. What is that? I'm going to show you. So fried chicken, when you go to KFC, when you go to Popeyes, I think in the South they have Bojangles. That's not fried chicken, honey. That's chicken that has been fried. And we're going to show you the difference, okay? Michael, can you get the chicken for me? So again, the evolution of soul food. So soul food is influenced by 3 states in the South. North Carolina and South Carolina, no, they do not influence soul food. That was French territory, so that's where you get the Gullah traditions and the Geechee traditions. You have Louisiana, which was also a French influence colony. That's where you get that feel from. What we have, where soul food comes from, thank you, is actually influenced by Georgia, Mississippi, and Alabama. The difference is, as the slaves began to gain their freedom and migrate north, east, so they came north to Michigan, they went west to California and to New York and to those areas, those influence, the access to those things gave us more influence. And so soul food did not even become a cuisine until the 1960s. This is new. So with the evolution of the Black Power movement, and now we're moving forward and we're moving from a mindset of being in bondage to freedom, we're allowed to express that. But do not assume that all soul food is the same. If you have a person that migrated north from Alabama, they will use a lot of sugar in their soul food. So have you ever had collard greens and you say, this is kind of sweet? 9 times out of 10, that influence comes from Alabama. That same pot of collard greens that someone is cooking, if you get it from Mississippi, it's going to be saturated with heat. That's the influence from that area of the South. And then we go over to Georgia and we see the incorporation of peaches and pecans and berries. And so all of these things influence this new soul food cuisine that emerges in 1960s, 1970s. And now this is coming to the forefront. But everyone says, well, we can't eat that. It's unhealthy. How do you do that? What's what? And it's like, no, we now have the ability to take what was once discarded, hold on to that and make that gourmet. Now, fried chicken, you may say, is not gourmet. I beg to differ. My fried chicken is the creme de la creme of chickens, right? And so we have some chicken wings. Now, if you think about, if you were given a whole chicken, this would probably be the least desirable part. The wings are smaller, they're not as meaty, and we will also receive the back of the chicken. And so one of the most authentic forms of soul food when frying chicken is the wing. So we're going to take that wing and we're going to ding that, what we call dinging that, right? And we're going to cut off these parts. Nothing in soul food is discarded. There is room and there is a place for everything. So the slaves would take something like this, or the freed slaves, and they would take this and they would make a stock out of it. You will see what's called pot liquor from collard greens. So once the greens are extracted from the water and all the seasonings, we used to give that to our babies when they had colic, upset stomachs. Like, we are used to taking nothing and making something amazing. So let's get back to this get your man fried chicken. Now, what does she call it get your man fried chicken? Well, let me explain it to you. Soul food translates into the heart. It is really love on a plate. It is a feeling, it is a sensation, it is an emotion that cannot be explained. It almost transports you in time. And so I say, get your man fried chicken, because in my lifetime, I've tried to get a man before, believe it or not. And, perfume works, the little red dress that works. But if you can fry a good piece of chicken, honey, you can get you a man and or a woman. Okay. So we're going to just take, I'm a white meat person. So we're going to just take those wings. We have turned those into dings. We're going to take a chicken breast. A lot of people don't like to fry chicken with chicken breast because it will dry out. Not if you do it my way. I'm going to show you what you're supposed to do, okay? Y'all okay? I'm just talking. You have to stop me, honey. I am like a locomotion, okay? So we have our chicken. Now, again, I am not using, listen, let me tell you something. Just salt and pepper on your meat does not work for everything. Sometimes when I watch these shows, when I watch Top Chef, when I watch Hell's Kitchen, and I hear them say, this is the way you prepare something. I often ask, who taught you that? Let's turn that oil on. Who told you that this is the only way? Because I did not have access to eggs. My ancestors didn't have access to eggs to do a wet and dry batter. They took what they had and they made the most of it. Who says all your meat has to be rare? Who put that rule up that you have to eat your steak rare for it to be the best? So there are concepts and there are things that have been taught to us and told to us that may not be accurate. And that's what I love about soul food. It gives us the ability to go crazy in the kitchen. We don't use timers, honey. A timer for what? You can smell your food. You can sense it. You become one. So going back to the mantra of like water for chocolate, what you put into it is what's going to come out. Everything, every ingredient I have over here, whether it be seasoning salt, black pepper, garlic powder, smoked paprika, it's just different layers of love. Okay. So we have our chicken and we did wash it, you all. How much seasoning salt do you put on your meat? If you ain't sneezing, it ain't seasoned, okay? We don't want no bland meat. Salt and pepper is not enough. That's a lie. If you got a problem, take it up with my lawyer, but it's the truth, all right? You need a little achoo, then you know it's ready. And listen, there are ways to work with over seasoning too, so don't panic, you'll get a feel for this. So it's a look, right? So we're gonna season this, and this is just seasoning salt, a little bit of Lowry's, and then I add to that lemon pepper, garlic powder, onion powder. So I take a seasoning salt base and add to that and make it my own. So we're going to season this. How much seasoning did you use? For me, everything is a tanch. Say that with me, a tanch. T-A-I-N-C-H. How much is a cup? A cup is a tanch. How much is a quarter cup? It's still a tanch. A teaspoon is a tanch, right? We put a tanch of seasoning on everything. A little bit of oregano is in there too. So we're going to add a tanch of smoked paprika. Why are we adding smoked paprika? To give it color. Add depths of flavor. Again, layering. Because, yeah. Okay. Now, no egg, no buttermilk. I know, honey. Listen, it's not your fault. I know someone told you that authentic fried chicken had to go in buttermilk, flour. No, it does not. See this right here? This is good old Frank's yellow mustard. This is the binder that we use with all-purpose flour to coat our chicken. How much mustard did I just use? Right, a tanch. You catch on so quickly. So we have a tanch of mustard, okay? And we're rubbing that in. We have our seasonings. Okay. And then here's just regular all-purpose flour. Now, I know you have a breading box and I know, you do everything nice and pretty. That's not how it worked for us. Again, if we're going to do this, we're going to do this the authentic way. If we're going to do this, we're going to do this the right way. So I'm going to show you what we use as a breader in the African American culture. Are you ready? You ready for this? This is how you bread your chicken. Now, to that all-purpose flour, I'm going to add those same seasonings. Just season that flour a little bit and a little smoked paprika. Okay? And I'm going to mix that together. You see this nice bowl? Whoop, there it is. It just went into that bag, okay? And then in there, let me move that out the way so you can see. Here's our chicken, honey. Throw that in the bag. And this is where it gets fun. Because I believe when you eat my food, you should smile. When you taste what I'm putting out, it should make you happy. So you get in the kitchen and shake. You're not shaking, Z. Shake. You get to twerk in the kitchen, you get to percolate. This is the best way to coach your chicken, right? And that's how you get your man too, ladies. Shake a little bit in the kitchen. You know what I'm saying, but what I'm not saying, right? So look, there's your fried chicken. Now, are we using a thermometer to determine the temperature of our oil? No, we are not. We did not have that. So you just take a little bit of that flour mixture. You put that in the oil. If it dissolves, then that oil is ready for frying. So Chef Michael is going to start frying our chicken. I'm going to wash my hands. And we're going to fry that chicken in regular canola oil or vegetable oil. Canola oil is the closest to what they had because they had access to a lot of corn. And so, of course, shortening doesn't come from that, but canola oil is the closest to what they had during the times of slavery. Does anyone have any questions so far? Anything in the chat you want to interject? Ask me something so you can move this.
There aren't any questions yet, but I have one. What's your favorite bag? What's your favorite bag to use?
What is
your favorite bag to use?
favorite?
So you're using a bag to bread the chicken.
Listen. Okay, so we realized that when we went to the market last month, tomatoes were $1.99 a pound. Now we go to the market, they may be $3.59 a pound. We never know, right? So I go to good old Aldi. And when you go to Aldi, they still have brown paper bags. Any brown paper bag works. Any bag that you get from Walmart, Kmart, Kroger, just a bag is the most authentic way. Yes, you can do it the traditional way. Yes, you can hand bread it. But if we want to do it the authentic way, I imagine they use potato sacks during that time. This is the way to get it done. So I will say this, the oil is and or around 350 degrees, just for technicality purposes. So if you wanted to know how hot your oil should be, we want to at least start there, right? You don't mess with your chicken. Your chicken is not messing with you. It's over there doing its job. You do your job. Don't mess with your chicken. Leave it there. Talk to it. Baby, you're going to come out perfect. You are going to be so brown and gorgeous. I just love you. Watch how amazing this is going to be. So I talked to you about influence. So I have a little bit of immersion in my background. My grandmother was from Alabama and my grandfather was from Mississippi. In Alabama, they may put a honey glaze over their fried chicken. My grandfather would have wanted a hot sauce. So what we're going to do is marry my background together, and we're going to do an easy hot honey glaze. So let's get that. And we have just a tinge of your favorite hot sauce. Okay, whatever that tinge is for you. We have some brown sugar. We have some honey. And we're going to take a little bit more yellow mustard because, again, we've already used mustard. We already know we have it, so we may as well use it and extend it into this recipe. Is there a whisk or a spatula over there? And we're going to incorporate that. And we've just made our own hot honey sauce, okay, that we're going to use with our Get Your Man fried chicken. So the great thing about it is that this can be offered on the side and or added, or sometimes I've even seen people fry their chicken and then put that in the sauce mixture too. So that's where you get the hot honey chicken and all of those types of influences in soul food. To that, we're going to add a little bit of fresh parsley. And we're just going to take that and put it on a low heat over there. So they are cooking simultaneously. So let's talk about soul food and where we're going. Now, here we are in 2024. And as you can see, diversity, equity, and inclusion is becoming so important in the marketplace. Understanding where people come from, why they are the way they are. It is a myth that all African American people are just obese and eat any and everything. Our culture lended to the way that we eat. But now with education, with access to fresh produce and those types of things that are happening, we can now take this where we started and advance it. And so I'm so excited about what the ACF is doing, bringing an awareness to soul food cuisine. Now, why do I say that soul food is not comfort food? It's not. Meatloaf and mashed potatoes are comfort food. Southern food, biscuits, gravies, those types of things, that's Southern food. Soul food is cooked with the heart. And that's the one thing that I want you to know, that when you're in the kitchen and you're making soul food, you use your heart to guide you. You use your ambition. You use your influence. You hear what your food is saying and you answer. It's okay to talk to yourself in the kitchen, okay? Any questions thus far? Z, let's get some paper towel and line that over there.
I do have a couple questions that came up.
Okay, let me turn it up a little bit.
Someone asked, "Are you hiring?"
Someone asked, "Am I hiring?" I take interns if you want to work for free. No, absolutely. Come to Muskegon, Michigan. Allow me to pour into you, or bring me where you are, honey. Where the person that wants to know if I'm hiring, where are you?
When they answer, I'll let you know, Chef. Georgia.
Florida.
Georgia.
I can come to Georgia. So here is the thing. Here's the great part about it. The goal is to inspire and motivate and teach people to make it their own. So to come to Georgia, I would love to come anywhere, talk with you, sit with any team of chefs and allow you to tap into that place and makes you an authentic soul food chef. I was never a slave, right? So slavery is not what makes me an authentic soul food chef, right? That was my ancestors. That was my grandparents. What I have been taught is to take what's inside of me and translate that on the plate. And if you can learn that, I don't care what your gender is. I don't care what your creed is. I don't care what your background is. You can be an authentic soul food chef. So Georgia, you can come to me and I can go to you and we can make this happen and we can be one big happy family. But yes. And then my restaurant is open, shameless plug, my restaurant is opening here in Muskegon, Michigan in May of 2024. So even in 2024, this will be the first soul food African-American owned restaurant ever in the history of downtown Muskegon. We do have another African-American owned restaurant that is Cajun cuisine, but we'll talk about that later. Cajun cuisine is not soul food. I'm talking about soul food. So I'll give you an interesting fact about a soul food that you can only find in Muskegon. Have you all ever heard of turkey knuckles? Turkey knuckles, not turkey nuggets, turkey knuckles. What is a turkey knuckle? I'm glad you asked me. So it is a soul food that can only be found here in Muskegon, Michigan. Where would you think that the turkey's knuckles are? The hands, the feet. No, they don't have hands and feet. They have claws, right? So the turkey knuckle is actually the meat around the hip and knee joint on the turkey. And it is almost the equivalent of a rib tip. So we kind of call them turkey tips or a turkey rib tip. It is the most delicious thing you'll ever want to taste it. I know it sounds disgusting. I know it. I know you think I'm crazy, but I am the queen of the turkey knuckle, honey. I fry them, I smother them, I barbecue them, I put them in the chili, I'll put them in the spaghetti. So if you Google turkey knuckle, guess whose chocolate face you're going to see? That would be me, the queen of the turkey knuckle. So that's something else that you've learned today about turkey knuckles and soul food. Something that the people, the African-American culture here in Muskegon brought to the forefront, and now it has become a big part of soul food cooking. You can only get them in Muskegon, Michigan. They can't be shipped anywhere. They can't be found anywhere else. We have to physically bring them to you. So yeah, call me up if you want to try a turkey knuckle as well. Any more questions while we fry this chicken?
Yeah, I got another one that just came up. This one's a little long. So if soul food is prepared by knowing the correct flavor, seasoning on intuition, and not having standardized recipes, how do you overcome the challenge of consistency and quality control while training young cooks?
How do you overcome the challenge of
consistency and quality control while training young cooks?
I can't hear it. How do you train them? So initially, one thing I did off camera that I didn't do on camera was in preparing the seasoning blend that I made, I pre-tasted and tested that because as I stated to you, there's not a recipe. So I already knew that the contents of the contents here would not over season the food. I say add to it. So we just want coverage. We know that if we cover that surface lightly, that food is going to have taste to it and flavor to it. But you kind of pre-know your seasoning before you add it. So for example, a large part of my seasoning and flavor and herb blend that I'm getting, the base is Mrs. Dash, right? So the smoked paprika, the sea salt, the black pepper, it's just kind of activating the seasonings that are already there. Now, don't be deceived. You can over season. And if you do, there are ways to get around that. For a piece of fried chicken, for example, if you over season fried chicken, you can get a slice of white bread, set it on top. It will suck all of the salt out the chicken and make it not be salty. Thank me. You can send me a token of love to my Cash App for that tip. Anything that's over salted, put some white bread on it, honey, and we'll get there. But another thing that happens, so just imagine you have over seasoned something, right? You were going for fried chicken. Well, that didn't work. Use what you have. We have this bag of all-purpose flour. Take some of that all-purpose flour, add a chicken stock or a beef stock to that, incorporate that, add that to a pot. You just made a gravy. Now you smother that and you take away some of the, that extra salt and you use it and it kind of disguises what the mistakes you may have made. That's one major thing, is that you can never truly make any real mistake in a soul food kitchen. It's about recovering from any mistakes that you may possibly make. Now, if you want to hand me that. So there was no timer, but I know my chicken is fried. There was nothing that in particular that we did. I know I can look at it. I can tell that it's ready. So we're going to take that, and right here, we just have some paper towel in the bottom. I've seen my grandmother take that same bag that the all-purpose flour was in, rip that apart, and use that as a base. Okay? Any more questions while we're getting our chicken out of the oil?
I'm not sure how to ask this question the way that's questioned, but it says, what is the direction going forward so that soul food in Africa is African-American in Michigan?
What is the direction of soul food for African Americans in Michigan?
No, so I think the question is how do we keep it, instead of it, so it says, what is the direction going forward so that soul food is African-American in Michigan? I think it's the question is, how do you preserve the traditions that you're putting into it so that it doesn't end up changing? Because as so many things, as you know, once it goes out to the public, people start changing and commercializing, like the chicken you were talking about earlier from a couple other companies that are out there.
Okay. So my answer to that is that food is the core of the African American community. It was also the core of the African community. It is our meeting place. It is our place where we come together. It's where we bond. It's where we make things, make our wrongs right, where we resolve conflict, where we meet and we evolve. So how does soul food stay authentic? Even though I was never a Southerner, I've never been a slave, I was never transported from Africa. One thing that is common to our culture from Africa to now that we have never lost is that we are a people of oral tradition. We had a griot. The griot would tell a story to the slaves, right? And the slaves would take that information and disseminate that throughout the villages. What do we call that now in modern society? Well, those are our preachers. The Black church is the core of the African American community. So we've taken the concept of the griot, even through slavery, even on the plantation, guess what? They were still allowed to have service on Sundays. And that's where you get these songs like Swing Low, Sweet Chariot, Amazing Grace, all of these slavery songs, because they were indicators to tell us what was going to happen, right? So the Underground Railroad, the master, this is what you need to look out for. This is what was coming. We've always been a musical and an oral person. So as long as there is a voice in the African American community, there will always be soul food. Always. One thing that is really, really important to remember too is that we are now more forward thinking. So with social media, we now have access to everything, even to go back and even become more and more authentic. If you have a creative mind, you can do anything. I never went to culinary school. I have a degree in journalism with a minor in Spanish. What am I doing in the kitchen? Heaven knows, but this is where my passion was. This is what I always wanted to do. But being an overweight child and being obese, I was always ashamed to say, I love food. I think about food all the time. And then one day I had an epiphany, like, I can get paid for my thoughts. And so being forward thinking and thinking in that manner, now I get to present to people, still using my journalism background, using my Spanish, porque yo me puedo decir en español también lo que yo me hace. So I can say it in Spanish, I can say it in Portuguese, and tying all of that together and being able to say, hey, this is who I am and this is what I have to offer. If you think about your culture, if your grandma came from Germany, right? If your background is Italian, a lot of the things that you know about the cuisine that's unique to your culture came from family, came from oral tradition. A lot of people, now here's something else that I can share with you. Guess what? Frying chicken is not a Black thing. It's Scottish. Did you know that? We just took what the Scottish taught us and we turned it into our own. So as long as you have a mind, as long as you have a thought, as long as you're open, because food is the one thing, no matter who you are, no matter where you come from, no matter what language you speak, that we all need. We have to eat. And food is the vehicle that's bringing us together. It's bridging the gap. It's giving us the opportunity to have those difficult conversations like, hey, LaKisha, I'm not comfortable with this. I don't know about this. Do you mind sitting down and talking with me about this? And I'm going to say, yeah, let's get your man fried chicken and let's talk about it, honey. And then we can gain an understanding and an appreciation for our differences. So while I love what I see in modern food technology, and I love what you've probably learned in culinary school and from your instructors, at the end of the day, when you bake your best meal, when you bake your best cake, when you have your best culinary idea, I can assure you it didn't come from anything anyone taught you. It came from somewhere inside of you, right? So we're going to move on with this chicken. Our sauce is ready. I'm going to have you take those lemon and charge us by before those lemon in that skillet. So Michael, if you want to move the sauce. Mm-hmm. Any more questions as we go along?
No other questions at this time, Chef.
No other questions. And so now we're going to work at plating. This is where you do use your technical training for presentation. I always say people eat with their eyes before they ever put anything in their mouth. It's about how you present your meal. That is one thing that we've seen evolve in soul food, not looking like slop. If you could just put it over there and we're going to try those. Not looking like slop or something like that, presenting it in a way that's approachable, that looks like, hey, this can be gourmet. This is something that's elevated. I believe in doing elevated soul. And so when we plate this fried chicken, y'all see how pretty my fried chicken is? I'm still trying to get a man, but it's not because of my chicken that I don't have one, right? But it's beautiful, it's amazing, and we're going to show you how we're going to plate that. But before we get into that, I want to talk to you more so about where we're going and why this is important, right? There are invisible barriers that keep us separated. For whatever reason, we tend to have one mindset and we stay within that mindset that this is the only way that something could and should be done. As a chef and working in the culinary field, we have permissive rights from the universe to do something that has never been done before. We display that in our food. When you went to culinary school and you learned how to boil an egg, somebody thought enough of that egg to split it in half, take out the yolk, mix it with mayonnaise and mustard, and make a deviled egg. Someone said, you know what, smoked salmon would be amazing to add to that. And they added to that. Someone said, why don't I chop this up and I take some chopped chicken and I take some celery and some bell pepper, and now I've made a chicken salad. So everything that you have is a base to build upon. We have the amazing opportunity to do what I call food fusion. So I make soul food pasta. I make soul food pizzas. We did a hamburger here in Muskegon that had collard greens and macaroni and cheese on it. Oh my God, the line was wrapped around throughout the city, right? So we took something that was just as common as a hamburger. We fused with another restaurant, American cuisine, soul food cuisine, and we made something together that was approachable for everyone to try. I even did a soul food cotton candy. Yes, I did, honey. I did a red velvet cake cotton candy and a lemon pound cake cotton candy. I sure did. So these are the things that we do. We do a soul food pizza. So it has fried chicken on it, collard greens, grilled red onion. It is amazing. And then the sauce base is barbecue sauce. Barbecuing is also very unique to the African-American culture. And the whole low and slow concept, I remember growing up as a little girl, and anyone that's African-American out there in the world, your grandmother started her cooking for Sunday on Saturday night. Why it took grandma 14 hours to make collard greens, I will never, ever understand. Because you can make collard greens in an hour or two and they can be tender. But this again is our culture. Bread pudding. Bread pudding came from all of the pieces of bread that you didn't eat through all of the week, all of the leftover biscuits for breakfast. Grandmother would put those in a Ziploc bag, and on Sundays we would have bread pudding, and she would make a custard and add raisins and pecans and rice pudding. Rice pudding is just rice that was cooked 2 or 3 days ago in the family. We take it and we repurpose it. Fried chicken. So you didn't eat all of your fried chicken, but fried chicken we warmed is absolutely disgusting. If you put fried chicken in the microwave, it is going to taste like your son's Nike shoe, right? So we take that fried chicken, we then smother it in mushroom, onions, pepper, gravy. It's about taking what you have and reinventing it. Nothing goes to waste in a soul food kitchen. The stems that you cut off the collard green, they have purpose. The intestine to the pig, it has purpose. We do a lot of pickling in our culture as well. And so it's just all using what we had. We had access to wood and the outdoors, so we barbecued. We had access to shortening, so we fried. We had access to vinegar and water, So we began to pickle. And this is the evolution of how we arrived. So even if you look in the history books before 1960, soul food was never mentioned. It is a movement that now has turned into an entire cuisine of which we are proud. All right, so let's get into this plating, okay? See if you can get the display for me and the Swiss chard. So Swiss chard is going to be used as we do our, as we present our dish, our Get Your Man fried chicken. I want to grab that one right there, my camera. Put that here. There we go. And we're going to take that. We have some Swiss chard. And we're just going to use this as a garnish. Now listen, when I get done using this as a garnish, this is going in a pot and in my belly with some hot water cornbread. Trust and believe me, nothing's going to go to waste. So we're going to use that to garnish because we want to make it pretty, right? Presentation is everything. There we go. I need to bring this a little closer, so I'm going to have you hold that for me. Are you guys enjoying this webinar thus far? If you went to sleep, shame on you, because as loud as my mouth is, I don't know how you could possibly be sleeping right now. But hopefully you're enjoying this, and hopefully this gives you some background into the culture, and it opens up your mindset and opens up your understanding to see why African-American people eat the way they eat, why we make the choices that we make. It comes from somewhere. There we go. So we have our chicken. So I'm going to take, now technically I should probably use a tongue, right? So I do some things by the book, not much, just some things, all right? Did you see me cut my chicken open to make sure it was done on the inside? Absolutely I did not, because I know it is, and I'm not going to let all of my good juices run out. You don't have to do that, okay? Trust yourselves, trust your instinct. There we go. There's our wings, our flats, our dings, right? So you're getting ready to present this Get Your Man fried chicken. Again, repurposing what was already given to us. We have some of the Swiss chard stem that we're using, and we're just going to take that and create a nice, beautiful line of Swiss chard. Okay. Now, do you want to see me put this sauce on top of the chicken or on the side? Let's do a little bit of both. So we'll do, let's see. Thank you. All right. So our sauce is ready. This is about the consistency. So it's not a runny sauce, okay? And we're just gonna drizzle that. In my emerald voice, oh yeah, babe. We're gonna drizzle that. Because we didn't come to play. What did we come to do? Get a man, honey. This is serious business. There's our fried chicken. It looks amazing. We have a ramekin over here. Okay. And we're just going to put our excess sauce in that. Now, what do you think I'm going to do with this extra sauce? I'm going to make me some biscuits later. Add a little bit more honey, and now you have a hot. Nothing goes to waste in the soul food kitchen. We're going to put that there. And we have just some lemons that we cut in circular form. Again, we're going to put that here, and we chard those for presentation purposes. This also adds another depth of flavor. So a lot of times in African-American culture, you'll see lemon pepper added to chicken once it's cooked. This is the same effect for the most part. It's just the way that we present it. Again, we're going gourmet. And then just a little bit of flat leaf parsley. If you have microgreens, you can use the same. And there's some Get Your Man fried chicken. Now, listen. If I don't get a man, you don't get a man. After this fried chicken, I don't know what to tell you. If you want to rekindle the love in your life, make some get your man fried chicken. If you want to fix relationship, bond, make some get your man fried chicken. Yeah, it's called get your man fried chicken. But the thought and the concept and the mindset is that it is just love on the plate. We didn't use a recipe. We didn't ask anyone what we should do. We didn't even mess with our chicken when it was doing what it should be. We shook a little bit in the kitchen, right? So now you got a little bit of exercise, or you can tell yourself, if you want to look important, get some flour, throw it on your apron, throw it on your face. Like, honey, I was in that kitchen slaving all day, and it only took us 15 minutes to do that. But the thing is, you're telling a story, you're translating life through food. And so that is why I have these two amazing people here with me, and I don't have to tell them anything because our bond lets us know what to do. Our bond will let us know how to treat one another, how to support one another in the kitchen. I can promise you, for those of you who are executive chefs, for those of you who are culinary managers, if you begin to pour love into the food, your employees will stay around longer. They will appreciate what you do. They will see the passion, and they'll want to be a part of your vision. Any questions?
Chef, we got one last question from the audience.
Sure.
There's a number of people who have actually asked this question, particularly because we had the person earlier who wanted to actually work with you. So, who says they're actually interested in coming up to Michigan potentially. So, and what the people have been asking, what's the best way for them to reach out to you outside of the forum?
So the best way to find me, my website is Live Soul Filled, and that's SoulFilled as in David.com. I'm also on TikTok, Soul Filled Chef. I'm on Facebook, Soul Filled Catering and Private Chef Services. I am on Instagram, Soul Filled Catering and Private Chef Services. I do mentorship, I travel, I go all over the United States, sharing the history of soul food, teaching people from age 2 to 2000 how to do this. Uniquely here in Muskegon Heights, this is one of the most impoverished communities in the state of Michigan. They also have the highest crime rate in the state of Michigan. And one thing I've attributed that to is there being a food desert. So can you imagine there is no fresh produce within a 10-mile radius of your home? You're already impoverished and economically challenged, so you have to catch a bus to get to Meijer or Walmart. It's a small city, so we only have Meijer and Walmart for grocery. So instead, Family Dollar is on the corner, Dollar General is on the corner. You send your son to school with a Mountain Dew and a Snickers for breakfast. What do you think he's going to do in the classroom? Absolutely drive the teacher and everyone else crazy. So a part of what I do also is called the Turkey Knuckle Trolley, where in which we grow fresh produce at a farm in the suburbs and we bring that into the city. And then we teach them how to pickle, how to can, how to preserve. How some people have never even broken down a head of lettuce. They've just bought it shredded in the bag or bought it in chopped form. So they're looking at a bag of salad and they're looking at a head of lettuce like, where's the carrots and where's the purple cabbage? Well, that doesn't come in here, honey. You have to make that. And so we teach the community, you know, the value and the importance of this, and we try to nourish them as well here in this area, just to kind of keep them with the advantage. So you don't have to be a victim of your circumstance. You can move forward. So you'll see a lot of that. If you look at things that I do in the community, if you look at video reels or news caps, that's what we do. We just display love, but we use food as the vehicle to do that.
And honestly, Chef, that's one of the reasons why I was so excited to have you on to do this presentation, because I did a little research on you first when you first emailed me, and I was truly excited. It's because it's not just about the food for you; it's all that love and all that community and all that extra stuff here, and it clearly showed in your presentation today too. And just so everyone knows, Chef's email is going to be in the post webinar email, so we'll put her contact information in there, and it's a very good chance if you're going to Phoenix this summer that you might see Chef LaKisha there as well.
I want to just personally thank you, President Tanner and the ACF, for being open enough to think this little country girl from this little city called Muskegon, Michigan, would have something to say. You know, to be honest with you, when I worked in neurosurgery, even though I have a degree in journalism and Spanish, I worked in, it's a whole nother set of crazy that lives in this head. I worked in neurosurgery before stepping out and starting my own business. So going from making almost $140,000 a year to going to food stamps, to sleeping on floors, to losing my car, losing everything to follow my dream. One thing I always promise myself, and I'm a woman of faith, and I promise God that if he would restore me and that if he would give back to me the time that I felt that I lost chasing my dream, that I would be the difference I wanted to see in my community. That I wouldn't charge people for knowledge because someone taught me. That I wouldn't hurt, it doesn't hurt me to give someone a hug. It doesn't hurt me to see someone who has dealing with alcoholism and say, come on, come over here. I know you can't afford this, but come eat with me, because then that opens opportunities and that opens networking to help people. We are blessed to be a blessing. And so I am the way that I am because no one was that to me. She has a degree. She speaks 3 languages. She worked in neurosurgery. How is she homeless? How is she sleeping in her car? How is she going around sleeping on floors? And all I knew was I had a big dream and I had a big God. And some way, somehow, it was going to happen. So this is a full circle moment. And I thank you, ACF and President Tanner and everyone that gave us an opportunity, because this is what real cooking is all about.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more. So I'm from Schenectady, New York, which I grew up at one point when General Electric was there. It was a booming city, and it's kind of fallen to the same hard times as you're talking about for Muskegon. So I grew up a lot of that culture and seeing that and being able to do my passion and sharing that food. To me, I don't understand people when they cook, and it's not about their passion. It's just about, you know, creating dishes, not even creating dishes, just replicating something. It's not as exciting. So that's I wish I had some of that fried chicken, by the way. But it's amazing to see that. And without that passion, there's no point to what we do. And that faith in God as well, that guy certainly guides you as well. And I love that too.
Awesome.
So with that, if we're all set, I'm going to do my outro. And we're extremely happy to have had you on, Chef LaKisha. I want to give a large virtual applause for you for this amazing, passionate presentation, and we'll clap. We appreciate you taking the time to share your insights of culinary heritage of soul food with our community. We're truly blessed to have you on with us today. So I greatly appreciate you, and it was great info. Everyone else, please be on the lookout for the survey you'll receive in the next day or so. It'll have the contact information for Chef LaKisha on there as well. Once you fill out the information on that, you'll also get your continuing education hours that'll go along with this presentation. We hope that you'll join us for the next webinar, March 13th, where we'll be spotlighting March's trend of food as medicine, as we hear from some expert chefs dedicated to the unique fusion of culinary arts and medical science. Then on April 3rd, we have a presentation planned in collaboration with the Retail Bakers of America to present the basics of baking with cannabis as an introduction to April's trend. We also look forward to seeing all of you at the ACF National Convention in Phoenix, July 14th through 17th. Is going to be the can't miss culinary education event for the year for sure. To learn more about the upcoming webinars and the ACF National Convention, visit acfchefs.org and click on the events tab. On behalf of the ACF National Office, thank you again to Chef LaKisha for bringing us the opportunity, and I thank all of you for joining us today on the call, and I hope you all have a great day. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.